Hello, good evening and welcome to New Forest Morphs. Jared is with me today and he's our cameraman for the day. Thank you for joining us, Jared.
That's right.
It's Monday night. It's not quite Monday night because it's Monday afternoon. Jared and I like to have time with our family on Monday evenings, so we've moved across to an afternoon feeding session, and what we thought we'd do tonight is just show you our technique for feeding a few of our snakes. Not going to show you every single snake that's taking food, but first of all I like to start off with some gloves. That means that your hands don't get messed up with any rats. This is Jared's little bottle that you like to use, don't you, Jared?
Mm-hmm.
Jared likes to use these giant tongs just to keep his distance. We've got some big gills out there, so it allows us to kind of hang the rats at distance. It protects you, particularly when they're up for it. They can come out at full pace. I like to use these little delicate tongs myself. It's what I've been using for the last 18 months. And I don't like the ones with plastic on there, because we did have some of those before. We've had snakes whip off the plastic and one of them almost swallowed some plastic, didn't it, Jared? So
yeah, to get it out.
if you're going to go for some tongs, I like the ones with grips. I like the ones that are easy to close. These ones I think are excellent. I use those. I like to use a decent plateau. So the key is to get some of this tissue, and I have that on there, and then I'll take my rats, and when I actually boil, we've boiled the kettle, so we go for boiling water. So I'll do yours, Jared. The hotter the better for dipping their heads in. So you'll notice that snakes have heat pads, which means they need heat on their prey to home in on their prey. So we use the hot water just to dip the heads in, and then present that to the snakes, and they home in on that heat signature. And it makes feeding so much more effective. Fussy eaters, I've found, if the water gets a bit cool because you're putting in defrost rats, you need to change it regularly, because I've seen fussy girls turn up their nose to a rat because this container's cooled down after about 10 feeds. And Jared and I come up here and we just top up with hot water. That's a nice little tip if you're struggling to feed animals. Just heat up the heads a bit hotter, and that heat signature is really giving off a good signature. Jared likes to use that little tray, don't you, Jared?
Yeah.
Because obviously you don't want water going everywhere, so there's a little tray for Jared. I'm setting Jared up as well. We've got 140 animals to feed tonight, and I reckon that 5 or 10% of them won't feed because they're either building eggs now and they've got to the maximum size. Some of them are in shed. Some of them are males that have gone off food. So of those 140, we'll probably feed 120, is what I'm anticipating. I like to use this little jar here. That's my jar, so that goes in there. We just put some hot water in, and then we're good to go. Now, what I do, a little trick, top up the kettle. So I boil water ready for the second top up. That way we're not hanging around. We can do this. We can feed these in less than an hour if we're really going well. So let's take this down, and I'll introduce you to our feeding table, which is down here. Now you'll notice that we've got the lights on here at the moment for this side, but down here, Jared, I've switched off the second set of lights, and the reason for that is because snakes are used to feeding in the dark, aren't they, Jared?
They will eat in the light, but
they come out at night. They're nocturnal feeders, and the more you can simulate dark conditions, the more positive the strike and the feeding instincts. So we could turn on the light and
they'll still eat.
But you'll probably have more struggles. So if you want to dim the lighting, let's go down and see what we've got here. Now you'll notice, Jared, I've got the radiator here. These have been defrosting since 10 o'clock this morning. It's now about 4, so that's 6 hours of defrosting. That does two things. Number one, the smell of the rats is starting to permeate into the rubs. Can you see that Mango's gagging for it? Look at these snakes that are starting to come to the rub. So she's sniffing the food and she wants food.
Yeah.
And it's a good indicator. You'll see a lot of these snakes. Look over here. So you see, this is what you're looking for. Over here, look at these gills here, Jared. They're all gagging for food because they've had 6 hours of slowly defrosted rat smell coming in here. And we had the fans running as well. But that just gives you an indication. So just to go through, Jared's going to be feeding the babies, or the hatchlings, rat fluffs.
Hatchlings and sub-adults.
Yep. These are the weaners, small weaners. And there'll be the larger hatchlings that will take those. Here we've got Maltese, which we use for fussy eaters. high protein, low waste, low smell. So anything that's a fussy eater or a girl that's, say, building follicles, her eggs are getting so big that the reason why girls switch off is because they can't pass the food past their bodies because they've got eggs in the way. So top tip is, if you want to keep your woman fed up nicely, just drop down to a smaller, high protein multi, if you can get hold of them, if you're allowed to feed them, and you can keep her going and give her that extra stamina through the 3 months period that she's going to go through once she ovulates and when she gets those eggs laid and all that stuff. So that's a top tip for keeping the girls at their peak without them losing too much body weight, because they're taking a small meal closer to the point where they're about to ovulate. So we've also got some other rats below. You'll notice down here, these are all the small rats. And what we do is, because they come in bags of 10, the big mistake people make is they leave them in the bags, and because they're all compacted, all the frozen food is not going to defrost so quickly. But if you take them out of the bags, I don't take the little ones out of the bags because I don't want them to get too warm, if you know what I'm saying. I want them to be defrosted but not kind of cooking, if you know what I'm saying. But down here you'll notice that I've separated most of the rats so that they defrost, and what we do is we switch the table over every couple of hours. I've come in here before lunchtime and I've done that so that each side of the rats gets a even defrost. You don't want to be putting small rats and pups by your heater because that will cook them. Put your larger animals there and you'll find that a natural defrost is normally the best way going forwards. So what we'll do, we'll start with a couple of large rats and we'll start feeding some of our animals. And I'll show you what I do. Just put that over here. So first of all, we just dip the head in, get that warm. We make sure that the rat is defrosted. There's nothing worse than giving a snake a frozen bit of food. Why would you say, Jared? What's the problem with doing that?
It's just harder for them to digest.
Yeah, you're making them work harder and they might take longer to digest frozen food, and the key is to actually have it up to basically the temperature. Room temperature is ideal. And what that does is, if it is a little bit cold and frozen, either delay feeding or you go for the full submersion, which is okay, and putting it into the hot water will soon defrost that and get it cooler for you. It's not ideal, but obviously you've got to just get a feel for it. Now, once you've done that, the key here is to dry the head like that, because I've found that with certain snakes, if you give them a sloppy wet head, it can put them off. Depends on who you're feeding. If you're feeding Colossus, you can give her anything, it should be. So here we go, we've got Mango the clown. Let's see whether she's up for some food tonight. Now, doesn't like the camera, Jared. Let me see whether she'll recognise this.
She'll smash it.
Here she goes, straight in. How about that? How many seconds was that, Jared?
You saw a couple.
Yeah. She was not interested in the camera, but the moment she smelt and saw the food, okay, she just shed this week as well. So I knew that she'd be up for it. Let's do one more, and then you get the idea. And again, you just wet the head. Dry the head. Present to the animal. I like to have them easy so they can hit the head. So present like this. Let's give this one to, do you reckon Rambo will take it?
That small rat. Give it something a bit bigger. He takes.
I'll tell you what, I reckon Mo would probably take one of these. See if she'll take one. But she won't like the camera, Jared. Wow. There you go. And she's only just moved into the large rat. I mean, that's her first large rat, I think, Jared. That's one of your babies, I think.
Yeah, that was one of my original babies.
So this is interesting. You probably saw in our earlier videos that we've moved up some of our larger sub-adults to the adult racks. And what that's done is, you would have thought that they'd be unsettled moving into bigger space. There's no hides in there because we believe with this system that you don't need hides. And we've got hides if they do need them, and we've got them as backup. But isn't that interesting? She's been in there just for a few days. First time she's been presented with a large rat, but she's so happy with the climatization of the new environment. When I presented that to her, she was on it straight away, no messing about. Yeah. And that's the joy of feeding once you get your ambient temperature right. I should mention the ambient temperature in the room is around about 80 degrees. And that's been consistent for many, many weeks now. The temperatures at the front of the rubs are going to be around about 82 to 83, and at the back 90. If you get that balance right and you keep it consistent, you'll find that your animals will feed a lot better, because they will only take prey if they believe they can digest it comfortably. If their temps are wrong, they won't want to take food, because they'll take them, it puts their body under a lot of strain if their temps aren't right, the heat mat's not right. But as you can see there, that's 2 out of 2, and you can see we've got 120 animals to approach tonight. We won't take you on that journey, but all I'd like to say is thank you so much for supporting us on the channel. We're getting close to 300 subscribers. We're going to do a competition. Jad sent out all the previous prizes today. Sorry it took so long to send out the last competition. It's just that we've had Christmas celebrations and the 12 days of Christmas. But Jad has sent those out now, so you'll get them in the next few days. Some are going to the US. We're going to order some more t-shirts. We're going to do another competition when we get to 300. So thank you for supporting us. Thank you for all the new subscribers that have come on recently as well. And I'd like to just have a big shout out to Angel, because she emailed me. He emailed me yesterday, and he basically said to us that he'd like to help us get to 300, and since he's done that, we've got quite a lot more subscribers. So thank you, Angel, for recommending us and getting us out in your community as well. We do appreciate that. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and we shall catch you tomorrow. And it's goodbye from Jared, goodbye from me, Paul, and goodbye from New Forest Morphs.